Hi everyone, hope you're doing well. Another circuit training session for you guys. For this one, the plan is that it's going to be 30 seconds of work followed by 30 seconds of rest. Obviously, if you find it too easy, you can increase the work time. So from 30 seconds, you can either do 45 seconds or 1 minute, or even decrease the rest time. And alternatively, if you're finding it too hard, try and stick to that 30 seconds of work, but just increase the rest interval in between exercises. I've got a bunch of exercises laid out, and I've also given different examples of sort of each exercise. So for example, with squats, I've shown examples of a basic squat and then how we can progress that to something more challenging. So what you're going to do for the circuit is for each sort of main exercise, you can choose which one you want to do depending on your level and how hard you want the workout to be. The way that this video is going to go is that I'm going to break down each exercise, just kind of explain what the plan is, and then at the end of this video, or potentially depending on the length, a part 2 video, I'll kind of do a follow along at home video, which will basically just be clips of me doing the exercise for that 30 seconds with a timer and going through the whole circuit, so obviously you guys can just follow at home. Obviously, if you're going to be changing your work to rest ratio, the video might be a little bit harder to follow, so if that's the case, just maybe have it in the background and have your own timer going. Okay, cool, so let's crack on. So for the first exercise, for variation A, we're going to be doing full squats. So feet shoulder width apart, and you're just going to go as low as you can whilst maintaining proper form. Make sure you're bending down by bending at the hips first and not the knees, as though you're about to sit on a chair. If we want to make it a little bit harder, we can do a full squat followed by a half squat, and then keep repeating that. So basically we're just going to go all the way down to a full squat, come up halfway, and then we're going to go back down and then all the way back up. This just makes the exercise a little bit more challenging. Okay, so to add a bit more of a challenge, we can do an overhead squat. So here I've just got myself a 5-litre bottle of water that I'm using as a weight. I'm just lifting it straight over my head, and then I'm squatting down as low as I can go, so a full squat. When we're doing this, make sure that you're maintaining a straight back. Okay, so here we just have a standard press up, so hands apart at a comfortable distance in the plank position, and then we're just going to go all the way down and then all the way back up. So we want to be getting full flexion and full extension at the elbows. Decline press ups, very similar to a normal press up, except we're just going to elevate our feet. That lets us add more weight and therefore make it more challenging. And then yeah, same as before, so we want to go all the way down and then all the way back up. For the close grip press ups, we're just going to move our hands in closer together, back in that plank position, and then we're just going to go all the way down and all the way back up. This one just puts an extra load onto the triceps, so it makes the exercise a bit more challenging. So now we have a fencing specific move, so we're just going to do explosive step lunges continuously for that full period of work. Okay, so to make it a little bit more challenging, what we can do is once we're in that on guard position, we're going to squat down and then we're going to explode into a lunge position. So now we have a staple exercise for our core. So all we're going to do is just be going into that plank position, and we're going to be holding it for the whole time. Make sure that you keep your back nice and level. Don't be collapsing downwards, or equally don't be going too high, and we're just going to hold it. To add a bit more of a challenge, we can do an unstable plank. Normally in a gym you would do this using a BOSU ball. However, as we're at home, what I've done is I've got a foam roller, put a bunch of pillows on top, and then put a baking tray on top of that, and that's kind of acting as my BOSU ball, so there's that element of instability, which further works our core. So yeah, guys, try doing this. If you don't have a foam roller to put underneath, maybe try using a ball or something, Even just the pillows themselves with a tray on top will give a bit of an unstable surface. And yeah, just be creative like I was. Yeah, enjoy this one. Another way to make the plank a bit more challenging is to add some movement. So here we're just going to go to that plank position and imagine how Spider-Man would walk up a wall. So we're just going to be moving our legs laterally, flexing them and bringing them up and back down and repeating. When we're doing this, try and keep your pelvis nice and stable and keep that back nice and straight. Cobras. For this one, lie on the floor, face down. You're going to put your hands to your ears, and then you're going to contract your lower back and your glutes, and you'll be raising your upper body and your legs simultaneously. Okay, to add a further challenge, we can do angels and devils. So this one we're going to lie on our stomach, and we're going to contract our back and glutes so that we're elevating our chest and legs off the floor. And then with our arms, we're just kind of going to be going from the top and working our way out. So as though we're making wings. And yeah, we're just going to repeat this. Bench back extensions. This is a common exercise to the gym. So here I was a little bit creative and I used my coffee table and anchored my feet under the sofa. And all I'm doing here is bending at the hips, lowering my trunk down, and then extending my back. And in doing so, I'm lifting my trunk upwards. Make sure when you're doing this, it's nice and controlled, particularly when you're going down. Okay, so for this split squat, we're just going to go in a lunge position, 90 degrees at both knees, with our toes facing forward. And then we're just going to move our body up and down. When you're doing this in the circuit, you'll be doing it for 15 seconds on one leg. And then when you hit 15 seconds, you're going to switch legs and do it for another 15. Bulgarian split squat. This is going to be very similar to a normal split squat, except we're going to elevate that back leg. So here I've put my foot on my coffee table or a bench, and we're just going to repeat it. We're going to be lowering up and down. This exercise is much more challenging as it allows us to put extra load onto those quads. For split squat jumps, we're going to go into that split squat position again. So 90 degrees at the knees, feet facing forward, and then we're going to jump. And whilst we're in the air, we're going to switch our legs around and land with our opposite leg in front of us. This is a plyometric exercise, so if you do have any knee, hip, back injuries, I recommend that you don't do it and go for one of the previous exercises. Lateral planks. For this, you're going to lie on your side, and you're going to lift yourself up, propping yourself up on your feet, which should be stacked on top of each other and on your elbow. You want to maintain a nice line through the body at all times. So you want to particularly make sure that your hips aren't dropping too low or that they're not too high throughout the movement. When you're performing this in the circuit, you'll be doing each side for 30 seconds. So to make the plank a little bit more difficult, what we can do is do some hip dips. So we're going to go in that lateral plank position again, as discussed. And all we're going to do is just lower our hips down and then bring them back up. And we're just going to keep repeating this throughout the whole work interval of the circuit. Okay, another way to make it harder is to add an element of instability. So what I did here is made myself a fake stability ball. So I put a foam roller down on the floor, a bunch of pillows, and then a baking tray on top to give me a surface that was unstable. And all I'm doing here is just a normal lateral plank again. And I'm just going to hold it. Obviously, as the surface is unstable, it adds that extra element of difficulty. And yeah, just try and keep your body as stable as possible. If you wobble, that's totally fine. Yeah, just keep going. Okay, mountain climbers is going to be the last exercise for this circuit. And what we're going to be doing is going into a plank positions with our arms straight. And then we're kind of going to be bringing one knee at a time to our chest and then extending that leg and then bringing the alternative knee upwards. You want to be doing this as fast as possible, so it's a bit of cardio, and you're also really targeting those abs and your core. Again, we can make this exercise more challenging by adding an element of instability. So here, using my homemade stability ball setup, I'm repeating the exercise of mountain climbers, and by having that unstable surface, it just makes the exercise harder. I'm also engaging my core more. And yeah, if you are able to do something to add that factor of instability, it's well worth it. So that concludes the exercises for the circuit and the explanations. So now the next part of this video is going to be the follow along at home section. So it'll just be a timer with me doing the exercises, and you can just follow along. It's going to be doing 30 seconds of exercise followed by 30 seconds of rest for all the exercises. Then there'll be a 3-minute break, and then the circuit will start again. So I've set this up so it's going to be for 3 rounds. Obviously, if that's too challenging for you, you can do 2 circuits if you want, or you can also alter the work to rest intervals. Obviously, as I provided multiple options for each exercise, I couldn't have all the clips showing simultaneously. So what I've done is that I've done 10 seconds of each exercise during that 30 seconds to show what you could do, okay? So just pick one and do that for the 30 seconds, and that's it. So feel free to pause the video now and get yourselves ready, because as soon as I finish talking, the circuits will begin. Make sure you guys warm yourselves up, so whether that be some skipping at home, running up and down the steps, depending what you have available to do a warm-up, and then yeah, crack on with it. I really hope you guys enjoy it. So have fun and work hard.